Good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night, and welcome to part 2 of my roller coaster tutorial. Yes, it's part 2. I hope you enjoyed part 1. If you haven't seen part 1, I thoroughly recommend you to go and take a look at part 1 now before you even watch this part 2, otherwise it will not make any sense. The link is in the description below, and if I can work out how to do it, it is also up in the top left hand corner of the video, somewhere to the left hand side of the sun. If it's not there, it's because I've not worked out how to do it, but never mind, it will definitely be in the link below. I guess I'll wait. I'll still be here. Go and watch it. Brilliant, you came back. You must have enjoyed the first part. Well, we're going to get straight into the second part. It is really good fun. If you're enjoying this, please do make sure you hit the like button, and you hit the share button, and you hit the sub button. In fact, if you can find a button, just hit it. That would be awesome, except for the dislike button, because that's just rude. Let's get on with the next bit. Well, the first thing we're going to do now is to put down the track, and we're going to go around the entire track now with just normal rail. We're not going to put any redstone rail in at the moment, no powered rails whatsoever, because we actually don't know where the best placement of those power rails is going to be. So all the way around the entire track with standard rails. So it's quite a lot of iron and wood if you're doing this in survival, but it is worth it. So you've now got an entirely tracked out course, but it doesn't look particularly landscaped, so we've got to start the landscape. It looks pretty rubbish with just grass. So I personally think that gravel is a really good way of covering the floor when you've got one of these kind of fairgroundy structures or rides. It just makes for the right kind of background to the build that you've just done. So what I'd do is go all around the outside with your gravel or whatever substance it is that you've decided to use. You could use stone or cobble, I suppose, that would also work, to get an outline of the shape. And then you fill it in, but leave some gaps because otherwise it's a bit boring. And I've done it for water, so I'm going to do some pools, but to make it really fast and easy to fill up, I've done squares, and then you just go along the diagonal of the square to fill up the water completely, and you get completely still water no matter how big that square is along the diagonal, and you've got beautifully still water. It's a really nice little tip. So if you do a number of squares the way I have done here, that means that you can then start to join those squares up. And once you've joined the squares up, you can have a really interesting shaped pool for the water to, just make it look a little bit more interesting and a little bit more structured, and maybe get some bits of water where it's slightly higher to make some kind of mini fountains, just to stop it being completely flat, a little bit more landscaped and shapely and interesting to look at from a distance. And the roller coaster is going to look great as it rolls over these pools of water. Now we want to separate it out, and we want to make sure that all of these dips and bends and plummets and the roller coastery bit that makes everybody go whee is supported properly, and fence looks great. And if you use a contrasting coloured fence, I've here got a darker fence. You could use you could use a lighter colour fence, you could use birch if you wanted to, but I decided spruce would be a really nice different colour here to use because it's darker than the oak and it makes for a great contrast. And just structure it up all the way to the ground level underneath your track, and when you come to a bit of track, just hop over it. You can actually build the track right next to the struts because it won't obstruct the minecart as it goes over, but don't obviously bring it down right on top of the rail, otherwise you're just going to smack right into it as you ride around. I'd recommend having a good 2 gap. It just looks a little bit more natural, a little bit more normal, and it looks like you've got more structure and more support, because obviously in real life gravity is going to be taking a toll on this. And you can see here the struts don't go into the water. If the struts went in the water, you'd actually get holes in your water. And now around the outside, because you don't want people running in and tripping over this roller coaster and causing all kinds of dangerous things, get yourself a nice fence. Now you could do this on the edge of your gravel, or you can do it around the outside of the gravel. I prefer it around the outside. Let's get these power rails in now. This minecart is not going to power itself, so we've got to get some power rails. And to start off, you've got to have a bit of a launch. So get 2 high wood blocks with a button, and then we're going to create with birchwood planks because it matches the rest of the platform, and also a dispenser with a button, and that will power out our minecart coming in. And then all around the track, we're just going to put some redstone underneath the tracks, so we can put a power rail on top. You can see it's turned red, so it's now powered. And the most important part is to get these minecarts up these kind of climbing areas, the bits where they go up to the top of the drops. So put a piece of redstone underneath the rail. I think it's probably best underneath because it looks tidiest. The wood will transmit the redstone signal straight through to the powered rail, so you get good power all the way up, and that will allow the minecart to climb to the top so as it can fall off right down that slope, and it will look absolutely fantastic. So now place these redstone pieces randomly around. Make sure you've got redstone track and powered rail around the entire track in a way that seems a little bit sensible. Underneath each arch bit, make sure you've got just a little bit of powered rail. It makes sure that the minecart doesn't come to a halt and, even worse, fly backwards, because if it hits a powered rail going in the other direction, it's just going to launch it all the way backwards, and that's just dangerous, and nobody wants that. And now we've got our drop. This bit is just awesome. You need to remove the first 5 or 6 rails, maybe even 7 rails, because you don't know how fast you're going to be flying down this precipice, and get a power at the end. And then when you get to the other end, it's got to climb up this just little short slope. Put a couple of powered rails. That will push it a good number of blocks before you need to get any more. And this bit is now just ready to slowly ease back to the beginning, and you have 1 powered rail to stop it. Brilliant. Now, this is a system here that is going to allow us to return our minecart to the right side of the track, so as we can refill the dispensers when it gets empty. So all we're going to do is we're going to go under the entire width of that rail, and we're going to stick some hoppers on this semi-buried chest. Those hoppers then run into each other by using shift click, and into that last hopper there. Once that's attached to the end, we're going to put 1 more chest. We'll test it with this glowstone, and when it goes in, it disappears, and you'll find it appears on the other side of the track, ready to be used. So if that was a minecart, that would be great. It's a really good, easy system to use. Tidy up the middle with a little bit of block, so it doesn't look like you've got an open receptacle. And before we take any more of the decorations and the augmentation and the landscaping of this particular build into consideration, we have got to test it to make sure that the redstone actually works. So this is the fun bit. We're going to be the testers for the first time. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get ourselves our cart. So we press the dispenser, out pops the cart, bang, straight away. We like that. In, get in the cart, press the button, let's go. We're going, we're going, we're going. Here we go, we're going all the way up. Going all the way up. This is the way we're going to go. Is it going to work? Please don't. Please. Oh, we're going down there. That works really well. And then we're going around. And we're going around and down and up. And we've not stopped yet. It's all right. It seems to be working at the moment. It's very exciting. We're going down into a hole. We're going down into a hole. And we're going up, and does it made it? Does it made it? Yes, it's made it. Yes, well done, sir. Right, so we're going up the second drop. Oh, this is the drop. This is the bit. This is the one. This is the one. Does it work? Yes, it does. Brilliant. And we go over here, and we're just going around back to the start, around the corner, up and down again, and we are there. And that, I do believe, ladies and gentlemen, was a success. Right, now let's see if we can't landscape this up a little bit more. Earlier on in part 1, you'll remember that I said I was going to build a bit of structure around this underground dip, and that's just really to make it a little bit more interesting when you go underground. So what I thought, just a nice coloured tunnel, make it look a little bit like a mouth, but not too much like a mouth, because that would be really corny. More like a coloured tunnel, so it's a little bit more exciting when you go inside, using redstone block purely for the colour, not for the power, and also some quartz blocks as well, because then you've got a really good red and white contrast there, which looks good against the gravel, great against that yellow and glowstone. Really, really effective. Then we stick some blue on it because it is completely different to the red and the white. And once we've got that blue on, we're going to contrast that again with some purple. Yep, we're making all kinds of colours here that kind of mirrors the blue on the other side, and then again mirror the red and the white that you've got on the other side, so as it looks pretty much symmetrical coming out the other end of your underground tunnel. And that looks really, really good from either end. Really pleased with that. And then once you've completed that particular part, we are going to go across to the other side, and we're going to build just a little bit of a tunnel over the drop. Now, not too much, and you don't want to put it too close to where the drop is, otherwise you could find that you actually land on top of it and don't go into the hole, which would be a disaster. So here we have our finished build. I'm really pleased with the way this has come out. It looks absolutely fantastic. I've used lots of stone fencing with some sea lanterns here and some cobweb just to create a little bit of an effect, and we've planted up some trees and some bushes and just made it look really, really nice with a big fountain. If you've enjoyed this video, please do hit that like button. I would love to know if you've enjoyed it. If you want more like this, let me know. If we can get to maybe 200 likes, I will definitely do another big build like this. Make sure you share it on social media, and please do hit that sub button and notifications. It would be great to see you on the channel more often, and I will see you in another video. Take it easy now. Bye.